Childcare is cut. I'm unable to work or go to school. I understand. Fraud is bad.
Not sure what happened there at the end. She thought that was not supposed to be in there, but fraud is bad, and it's a bad issue publicly with the Democrats in Minnesota.
The days of YouTubers not being considered real journalists are long gone, because what's just happened today in the Minnesota fraud scandal is wild. So earlier this month, as reported by the Associated Press, federal prosecutors said that half of the $18 billion in federal funds that was given to 14 different Minnesota-run programs, we're talking disability care, addiction treatment centers, food for the underprivileged, childcare, etc. They believe that half of that may have been stolen. They said,
the magnitude of the fraud in Minnesota cannot be overstated. Staggering amounts of money that have been lost.
But for the American taxpayers, those were just words. That is until a 23-year-old YouTuber, Nick Shirley, posted a video that for millions of people suddenly made it feel real. Nick went to multiple daycare centers in the region, which he claimed had taken millions in state funding to look after hundreds of children. But when he entered, they were deserted. No children were found. Now, not only did this post go instantly viral, it got 116 million views on X and 1.9 million views on YouTube, but it was also seen and shared by huge political figures on the right, including Elon Musk and Vice President J.D. Vance. Even the U.S. Attorney General acknowledged Nick's video on X, saying that 98 individuals, 85 of which are Somali, have been charged in this fraud investigation. But today, it's gone even further, because the DHS is now on the ground in Minneapolis, going door to door at suspected fraud sites, even telling CNN that this was triggered in part because of Nick's video.
Luxury cars, private villas, first-class tickets. This is where millions of our taxpayer dollars ended up, stolen by Minnesota fraudsters. They created fake companies, bogus meal sites, and thousands of fabricated meal claims, sometimes using names from random name generators to suggest meals were served when they were not. Court exhibits show luxury purchases paid for with taxpayer funds, overwater villas in the Maldives, a 2021 Porsche Macan, first-class tickets to Istanbul and Amsterdam, stacks of cash and wire transfers overseas. Overseas property. Investors bought homes and land in Kenya, Turkey, and possibly other countries. Jewelry and personal items. Stacks of cash, sometimes carried around and photographed in envelopes or boxes, evidence of how easily the money was handled. Some fraudsters even wired millions overseas, including transfers to banks in China and accounts in Kenya. One of the men sentenced, Abdimajid Mohammed Noor, was ordered to pay nearly $48 million in restitution and sentenced to 10 years in prison.
To know this, majority of us Somalis who are here, as my friend Ali said yesterday, most of us, this was not the first place we came when we came to the United States. But most of us chose Minnesota as our home because Minnesota is special to us. Minnesotans are special to us. When we moved from Arlington, Virginia, and came here nearly 30 years ago, none of us decided to move to another state. My siblings and I and my dad, until he died, call Minnesota home. Because, like I said, Minnesota is special. And I know almost every single elected Somali Minnesotan did not start out in Minnesota, but chose to come here, stay here, start families here.
So instead of the Somali diaspora living sparsely across the United States, where they would be forced to integrate and assimilate into American society, they chose to congregate in Minneapolis so they could create an enclave that acts as a satellite state for the nation of Somalia, where they can amass political power and elect representatives like Ilhan Omar, who will do exactly what she admitted in the first clip: work from within within the United States system for the betterment of Somalia, where they could engage in the same backward cultural behavior of corruption and piracy that led to Somalia being a failed state, and use their political leverage as a voting bloc to force local and state politicians to turn a blind eye to their massive fraud. In the last video I made, they have the police chief apologizing to the Somali community if they feel targeted by these fraud investigations, all while having a Somali translator. In the video I made before that, the mayor of Minneapolis is giving whole speeches in Somali. They have successfully weaponized white liberal guilt to force the acquiescence of their mission to benefit Somalia by any means necessary. So now if you want to win elections in Minneapolis or Minnesota, you need the Somali vote. And in order to get the Somali vote, you must vow to prioritize the interests of Somalia. Otherwise, they'll just install one of their own, like Ilhan Omar, who will do it. The latest mayoral race in Minneapolis was decided by leveraging a Somali clan war back in Somalia to split up the Somali vote in Minneapolis. You can't make this stuff up. Somali clan wars are deciding who the mayor of Minneapolis is. I truly believe in the exceptionalism of America. And because of that, I do believe that immigrants on an individual basis can integrate well in.
There are truths we have not been saying out loud. Number one, go to Somali malls. Cash only, no receipts. That's sus. We gotta say that out loud. Number two, Somali tax accountants. They say, oh, you have no tax today. That's sus. We gotta call that out. What? Yeah, Somali trucking companies cutting corners. That's sus. Let's not do that. Appreciate that. Let me keep going. Yeah, helping each other lie on forms. Like it's some sort of community service we're doing to each other. What? Yeah. And recently I just saw a Somali sheriff, police officer, saying that he only serves the Somali community. What are you doing? You're an American. The whole citizens is your duty to protect and provide great, excellent service.
This is good. I respect him for saying these things, especially out in public, being willing to call your own people out. I understand that because I do it. Many black people will complain about being stereotyped. Well, people shouldn't stereotype us and blah, 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 blah. That's wrong and they shouldn't do it. Okay, well, you had your wishful thinking. Now let's get back to the planet of reality. They're going to stereotype until we give them undeniably reasons or undeniably good reasons to not stereotype us in that way. So rather than complaining about what they shouldn't do, let's change our behavior to where the stereotypes start to change. Same thing here. If people want Americans to be more comfortable with the Somalis in Minnesota, then they should work on doing things that don't make the public uncomfortable. More specifically, things that are morally bankrupt or wrong, like this creator was pointing out. I think if he does that, there's going to be less animosity towards that community. I think there will be less fraud and less money being taken from taxpayers in an unright way or unfair way. But I think it benefits everyone. Taxpayers are getting scammed less. People are not looking at Somali people with side eyes out in Minnesota, and people start to focus on other things. I'm not saying many of these people shouldn't be deported. Many of them absolutely should be deported.
That money in Minnesota that they scammed, you know where it went to? They brought up city blocks in Eastleigh, Nairobi, Kenya. Check this out.
Somali people, you must tell us where you're getting this money. And I can tell you, every street in Eastleigh right now has more than 10 buildings under construction. You will see these buildings covered with nets and under construction and not yet complete, or at least recently completed. Every street. And remember, Eastleigh has 12 streets. First street, second street, all the way to 12. And every street has like 10 high-rise apartments under construction or recently finished construction. Somali people have money. These people have money. I don't know what they do, how they do it. I think they're trying to make Eastleigh a city of its own in Nairobi, man.
He said buildings, like blocks of high-rise buildings being constructed. And that video is from 2023. Oh, where did all the money come from? Well, that money came from Minnesota, buddy. That's where all the money went, to buy up city blocks of high-rise apartments and business complexes. You see, they making that into a little Somalia right there in Kenya. That's where majority of the money went.
My favorite example of Somalian fraud is in Kansas City, where they have a restaurant called KC Burger, which is actually just a Somalian restaurant. Like, all of my students that were Somalian were like, you have to go try KC Burger. And I was like, I'm crazy, y'all want me to try a burger restaurant. And then I showed up and it's like goat curry, fried fish with the eyeballs on it. Everybody's eating with their hands. If you ask for a fork at KC Burger, you get judged. I love that vibe. Also, the best food I've ever had. It's just a Somalian restaurant with incredible search engine optimization. Trying to catch tourists who are like, we want the best burger in Kansas City. And you show up at the #1 Somalian restaurant in the Midwest. Go check it out. And stop believing dumb shit you read on the internet.
Massive fraud in the state of Minnesota, especially in Minneapolis. This daycare right here, ran by Somalians, has taken in from the Minnesota government $1.1 million. This daycare says it can hold up to 40 children. I went up to the door. The door is locked, and as you can see, the windows are blacked out. I can't hear any children inside this daycare. It's midday right now. You'd think there'd be children in there playing, being taught, but no one is in there. This daycare, within 2 years, has taken in over $2 million. The Somalians are robbing the taxpayers in Minnesota blind. This is just one daycare located in Minneapolis that are doing exactly the same thing. We've went into daycare after daycare. All the doors are locked, all the windows are blocked out, and they're raking in millions upon millions of dollars. Tim Walz's Minnesota is allowing this to go on. It's super easy to find fraud. All you need to do is go up to a door, try to open it. It's closed and there's no children. So you know these daycares, they're not full, but yet they're taking in millions of dollars every year. Let me know your thoughts on this one.
It's not adding up to me. Y'all can say what y'all want, but if it was not for Trump, I do not feel like a lot of this fraud would even be coming to the forefront. And what's crazy to me is the fact that so many people are still rooting for and still campaigning for a Walz and Harris run. Let me tell y'all, if them two would have gotten in office, you think it would have been 8 billion? Baby, it would have been 80 billion. Trust me when I'm telling you. In my opinion, enough people are not angry enough, and enough people definitely ain't in damn handcuffs. I don't know what the hell is going to Minnesota, but it needs to be corrected, effective immediately.
If the Somali daycare center thing is true, I don't get why everyone's mad. I think we should get him an office at JP Morgan, Wall Street. Let's see what else they can do. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I think it shows a true embrace of capitalism. And I think it shows a true spirit of entrepreneurship, you know? And I think it shows an assimilation into American society, you know? So, especially if you support the current administration, I really can't understand why you wouldn't just think, God, these people are brilliant, you know? Elon Musk does this all the time, as do billionaires all the time. And in just a few short years, they figured it out. And they're already well on their way to becoming young entrepreneurs that we all love so dearly in this country. And I just think that's beautiful. God bless them. I don't think it's true, actually. But, you know, if it is, fuck, get them a job. Get them a job somewhere. They clearly have some movement in that area. So I say, let them go. Let them go into the world of capitalism. And they will go far. And that's pretty beautiful.
The fact that a community with the combined IQ of about 63 was able to finesse the United States government out of tens of billions of dollars with no oversight or accountability is insane to me. Because I can't even go tax exempt all year without the threat of fucking the IRS coming and getting me and locking me up and seizing all my assets. Like, what are we paying taxes for? I guarantee you that about 90% of our debt is fraud. It's enriching others. And we are literally the purse and the slaves of the fucking world. And none of our politicians care because they're in on it too.
So how does everybody feel about the Somali immigrants who have reportedly set up like fake medical companies and are defrauding the United States government of insane amounts of tax money. Apparently, it's so bad that the FBI has made a statement stating that the Somali tax fraud schemes and government schemes are at a level that they could have never anticipated. And they're basically, from what it sounds like, devoting an entire fucking task force just to this bullshit. Okay? So what does this teach us and what does this show us? It shows us that people who come from these broken down hellhole countries do not come here to help America. They come here to rob America and destroy America. If they're not trying to spread Islam and bump Islamic prayers through the loudspeakers, okay, then what they're trying to do is rob hardworking Americans of their money. So when you ask me the question of, do I support open borders? Absolutely not. Close them, completely close them. If you want to come to America, you got to show us why you're worthy. And you being worthy means you're bringing something here. You're either paying us money, a big sum of it, or you're bringing business over here, or you're doing something that's going to benefit the United States. You're not just going to come here because you got an American dream. That dream's not for you. It's for American citizens. You don't get that fucking dream.